Welcome, guys, to the first episode of the Vengeance Podcast, the show where we break down the latest news and breaking coverage of the Batman. Who is this caped crusader that has been being a vigilante throughout all of Gotham these past couple years? Do you have any guesses?
I don't.
Nah, just kidding, guys. We are Project Ecology. This is episode 45. We haven't been posting regular episodes lately, but we're very happy to have you today to discuss the latest Batman film, The Batman, by director Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson in the lead role. It's been out for a couple weeks now. We've seen it multiple times, both of us.
Yes. And
we're here to talk about something that at least I genuinely love. I haven't actually heard your opinions yet, Anthony.
Oh, no, dude, for me to go see something in a theater more than once, I have to really enjoy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah. You know what I won't be seeing more than once in theaters?
Morbius.
I saw that yesterday, dude. It was just F tier comic book garbage.
Wow, really?
It was dribble. It didn't make any. It's from scene to scene. There was just no consistency. You could tell it was filmed multiple times because there was just random cuts that didn't really make any sense but kind of told a story. Yeah, right. Anthony's showing me a picture of Rotten Tomatoes. It's currently at 16%, but the audience rating is a surprising 65%. I've received a couple comments on Twitter after expressing my thoughts that people are liking it or are enjoying it, and I'm not going to knock their opinions because
right.
That's what opinions are, but I genuinely don't understand. It seemed like every other scene, my hands were in the air what is going on? Why did this character just do that? Or where did this character come from? There were new characters added midway through the movie, or there were characters that were just totally fine and normal that were suddenly supervillains. It was just nonsense. And then, without spoiling anything, the main goal of Michael Morbius in the entire thing, the goal that he was leading towards the end of the film, they don't even resolve. They don't even touch on what the problem that he needed fixed. He did not get fixed. There was no mention of it at the end of the movie. There's a big fight scene, and then it cuts to the credits, and then there's two incredibly just asinine post-credit scenes that, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm rambling here, but it was a really bad movie, and it just didn't seem like conceptually they understood what they wanted from it. Obviously, they want to build a universe with Venom and
right.
A Sinister Six sort of thing,
right?
But without Spider-Man, they have no footing.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. The Sony, these newer Marvel movies made by Sony, they're really not all that good. Now, from what you're telling me, Venom is probably better than this film. The Venom films are probably better, but the Spider-Man films are probably the best thing that they have, comic book wise, and that's because Marvel is Marvel's within it. Disney, they're touching it. They're adding their touch to it, so that's why they're so successful. They have this plan.
Marvel Studios has creative control
right
now. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, I feel like Sony's in this weird position where they don't want to remove the Spider-Man character from the MCU, but they need a Spider-Man of their own to play with their solo movies like Venom and Morbius and soon to be Madam Web and Kraven the Hunter, these random characters that are all supposed to be almost symbiotically attached to the Spider-Man character.
Right.
But yeah, so Sony is in a weird place right now, but that's part of what I've been doing, Anthony, in the past weeks that we've spoken to each other. What have you been up to?
Well, I watched The Batman, of course. Doing a lot of gaming. I kind of sat down and I have a group of people that I'm friends with that they also stream, or that they stream, you know, it kind of got me thinking. I've been talking about streaming since the beginning of the podcast, that it's something that I have wanted to do for a while. And I mean, we post it in our show notes every week, and I have not streamed in any of that time. But I finally got to a place where I'm like, you know what? Like, I kind of feel like I want to do it again. It was really fun. I got to meet some really cool people that I got to game with. And so now I kind of have this group of people that also streams, that, you know, they're actually looking forward to me starting. As of recording, after this recording, I'm going to be streaming for a few hours on my Twitch channel. So obviously, when this podcast is out, this you know, you'll obviously have missed it if you didn't happen to pass by it. But in the future, if you want to hit a follow on the Twitch, I'm looking to be a little bit more active on there. Maybe not crazy right away, but you know, maybe a couple, maybe 2 to 3 days in the week. You know, we'll see. You know, nothing's set in stone right now, but I'm looking to kind of start that back up. I had real fun with it, and dude, actually,
it's been a minute since
you've done that. I mean, I remember you hopped in like, ooh, dude, this was years ago. You've hopped in a couple times, so if you want to, you know, pass by at any point, either tonight or in the future, you know, you're always more than welcome, Dakota and listener.
Oh, good. I'm glad I'm.
Actually, no, scratch invited. That. Everybody is not. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, and then there's something else. Believe it or not, man. And this is actually good timing. This is something that I've actually been mentioning for a long time that I've wanted to do. You know, every time I go to a convention, I see people cosplay. You've cosplayed before. I know you know how fun it is to cosplay. So I'm looking to cosplay in the next convention that I go to, and
no way.
And guess who I'm going to be cosplaying?
The Riddler. You're going to be singing Ave Maria.
No, but was it you know, Dakota, you know, go back into the recesses of your mind. You know, technically I have portrayed this character in a picture a long time ago. Obi-Wan.
Oh, dude, that's hilarious. Okay, so nobody will remember this because nobody has seen it. But there was an old like Photoshop. I forget where we even got it.
Like I still have.
Was it like, I think it was like Universal Studios or something? They had like a photo booth where, you know, we could just like they'd crop our faces into a really unflattering like poster, and we were like Anakin and Obi-Wan. And I can't believe you actually have Obi-Wan's beard right now. So actually that would work.
It would, right? Like, okay, so what I'm looking to do.
Wait, have you been purposely grooming your beard to be Obi-Wan?
Actually, no. It happens to be it just happens to be like that character that I was born to cosplay, and I knew it. You know, I didn't know it, but like, I mean, years ago, even though they zoomed in on my face like really crazy.
Yeah, that was the worst Photoshop I've ever seen. Maybe not the worst, but it's up there.
Yeah, no, I really think that's like a really good cosplay for me. I'm gonna go with like classic, you know, Revenge of the Sith one, and then eventually I would like to go to try the Clone Wars one with the armor. That one would be sick.
And you know, you should also like look at what the costume is going to be like in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
Yeah,
that could be good too. So
that in 15 years I can be him. Yeah, I could be this Obi-Wan. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't think that I had mentioned that to you. I'm not sure if I did.
This is the first I'm hearing it.
But yeah, no, I'm actually pretty excited for it. I think it's gonna work pretty well. I know a lot of people, they might not think of it right away, but when I tell them that, they're like, "Oh, dude, I can see that. I can 100% see it." So.
Yeah, I'm looking at Anthony right now over Zoom, and I 100% can totally see the Obi-Wan style. Oh, he took off his glasses. That's Obi-Wan right there, folks.
And then, you know, of course, like, I'm gonna like grow out my hair a little, like, you know, a little bit, try to make it from, I'm not gonna get my haircut from, you know, now up until then. So by then, like, I'll be able to, I'm gonna go to my barber, I'm gonna be like, dude, I need you to do this. And he'd be like that.
He's like, okay. Oh, that's awesome, bro. All right, so you are restarting your streams. What days are you planning to stream if you are going regular again? Okay,
so right now, so I'm gonna be streaming tonight. So maybe I'll be looking at mostly like on the weekend, but I might have some like, you know, sprinkled throughout the week.
All right.
Especially like, yeah, exactly. Weekends. Some days I have early. So sometimes I have early days at work where, like, if I'm working on a Saturday, they let us get out early. So that means that I'll be able to get into the gym a little bit earlier and I'll be home earlier. So then I might be able to hop on to a stream, you know?
Cool.
So, but yeah, man.
Hit me up with a link when you do, because I don't have like notifications turned on Twitch or anything. So.
No, for sure. But yeah, no, that's what I've been up to. The streaming, and then like that Obi-Wan one is like, that was like pretty big for me. And I actually like put in an order for I'm actually getting like a Jedi cloak, but like a wool one. Like I want a good one.
Okay.
So.
All right.
So yeah, man.
Sounds fun.
That's what I've been up to.
I'm excited.
How about you? Like, I know that you've been doing some work on the Geekritique stuff. I know that you've put out some videos on your other channel, your Disney one. So
right. So yeah, I'm actually in the process of doing my next big MCU timeline. It's been over 2 years since I released one of those videos.
Ooh,
and it's about time, and it's even bigger now because obviously with the new titles, the Disney Plus titles, and also the opening up of the multiverse. So I'm factoring in all the universes that are attached to the MCU through the multiverse into it, but not like side by side with all the other films. So like when those universes reach the MCU timeline, then I'll go back and start talking about like, here's what the Spider-Man films look like. Here's what the Amazing Spider-Man films, like the timeline of those as well. So that's a big project. I just finished writing, I think, my second draft of the script. I'm pretty set on it. And I'm going to try to record that sometime within the next week. It's tough because I want to do it like a green screen sort of thing. So there's a lot of setup involved in that. But I'm really excited about it, and a good majority of the people who follow Geekritique, know me as that guy.
Yeah. Like you are that MCU timeline guy. That's actually something that I've been interested in. Also, is like the whole like green screen thing. That's something that I've always wanted to do, as far as like my stream. So, I like it when you do it. I think it looks really cool when you do your the green screen stuff. Yeah, it looks really cool. And you can do some weatherman stuff, but with the timeline. It's like here this is where Tobey Maguire factors in.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually the plan. Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's woo boy. And then now like people were like championing for an Amazing Spider-Man 3. So bro, there's this.
We'll be back after a quick break.
I hate talking.
Do you love talking about any topic and are never frustrated during conversations? Then I Hate Talking is not a podcast for you.
But if there are topics that you avoid, then listen to I Hate Talking.
Do you know the definition of every word others use? I Hate Talking is not a podcast for you.
But if you are curious about the definition and historical usage of words, then listen to I Hate Talking.
Do you know about current events and other random topics? Then I Hate Talking is not a podcast for you.
But if you enjoy conversations on a variety of topics, then listen to I Hate Talking.
Listen to I Hate Talking wherever you get your podcasts.
Episodes drop every Thursday. Listen, like, and follow I Hate Talking today.
My actual theory is that they're going to bring back the Amazing Spider-Man series so that the MCU has its Spider-Man and Sony and the spin-off series has their Spider-Man. And
it could work as like a multiverse story, like like this is what's happening in this universe, like we've seen him in the MCU, so it's like, okay, now that Andrew Garfield is in his universe, like, I mean, if he comes back for that, it's like, okay, this is what's happening, and there's always like that chance where they could pop back in,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that's Sony's plan. Spider-Man is their biggest movie IP by a long shot.
Yeah, I agree.
They're kind of tied to Marvel Studios right now because of the success of the Tom Holland trilogy.
Yeah.
And they really want to branch out of that. So they've been working on ways to try and diversify that brand, and they've been trying the Venom movies, which we talked about, in the Morbius movie, and they have other spin-offs in the works as well. I think that they've been working towards having multiple Spider-Man series at once. So because they get all the money for the Tom Holland stuff, but he's attached to the MCU. Also getting money for like an Amazing Spider-Man 3 and 4 and whatever, with all their interconnected like villain stuff like Venom and Morbius.
Yeah.
I think that's their goal. And that's why they're pushing all of these side films so hard, like Madam Web and Kraven the Hunter. I think they're really trying to work towards that.
Yeah, man, and was it like Andrew Garfield's performance in No Way Home? I mean, it sold me. Like, Sony needs to kind of like build off of that. Like, I feel like he took whatever strengths he had and he was able to like put that into his character. Whereas, like, I mean, we've talked about this before. Like, I just don't think that the writing was all there when he was there before, and we weren't ready for that change. But I think that after that movie, people were like ready for Andrew Garfield to like get a second chance, I think,
and I hope he does.
Yeah, I do.
He
too.
Seems like
I think he's
right for the role.
Yeah, I think he likes that role. I think that him not being accepted probably like broke his heart a little bit, and maybe he was like, okay, well, I'm coming back to this character, I'm gonna really put my all into it, and like I could really see it, Yeah, it'd be great to see him in a movie again.
Totally. Yeah, I totally agree. What else have I been up to? I have I've been pretty consistent with like keeping up with comics as they come out. I'm enjoying a couple series. I've been reading the latest Moon Knight series, which is topical because Moon Knight, the first episode is just dropped on Disney Plus this past week.
Right, I still need to watch that, man. I've been like getting my heart broken though with this Halo series.
Oh, is it bad?
Dude, I really don't understand like how people can mess things up. Like I it's like you need to, like, if you bring on like a creative member of the Halo team to like help you do, unless like they already are and they just like, whatever, just do whatever you want. Like the action is like really good, the fighting is really good, but the story, like the writing is like it's like one of those things that you say you ingest something and at first it hits, like when it hits you, you're like, man, this tastes good, and it has a nasty aftertaste. That's what that writing, like that's what it is. Like you get hit with the action, but then the writing is like leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Interesting. So, what is it? Is it an adaptation? Is it a sequel or prequel to the story?
That's a good question. My hands are like, what is this? Is this? And then they showed Master Chief's face, which they've never done. I think they showed his eyes one time in the game, but like that was about the extent of it. And so like in this world, it's apparent that they've already been fighting the Covenant, which is the aliens, for a little while. They've been fighting these insurgents too, like, which in the stories they had like these fights with kind of like these separatists, and then the Covenant came in and that became the enemy. But it seemed like apparent like that they've been fighting the Covenant for a while because the Covenant, they called Master Chief Demon, which is what they call him in the game. So they've fought him before. They've already come across him for a good while for him to develop that name. Like he takes his helmet off.
Do you remember which game? Do you remember which game they started calling him that?
They started calling him that since like the first one.
Okay. Okay.
Because they came out with stories, these books that took place before the actual Halo game, and then led up to the Halo. Like they came out with a book called The Flood or something like that, and it takes place on like the game, the Halo.
So is this being presented as like a canonical entry in the Halo series, or is this just something?
Dude, let me tell you, like, if you watch it, you're like, okay, like I think they're trying to make this canon, but like when I saw Master Chief's face, I'm like, dude, this is not Master Chief. And then this is like the face. This is supposed to be the face of an entire franchise. The guy, he's too like, he doesn't look battle hardened like I believe that a Spartan should look. Especially if you've been fighting these insurgents and then the Covenant for like all these years. He looks fresh faced, like somebody that just came out of boot camp. You know, like I'm not trying to knock against the actor, but I just the way that Master Chief was essentially a Din Djarin. Master Chief has like, I mean, they take it's like Din Djarin where he would take his helmet off, but not where anybody else was. That's the same thing with Master Chief. Nobody's ever seen what Master Chief looks like except for, you know, maybe like, you know, his previous Spartan team and then the lady that headed over that program. But like, I'm just like, dude, like, what are y'all doing? Like, man, like the source material's right there. You don't have to follow the exact story, but the source material is there, dude. Like, and people, they try to go. I feel like people they try to take things and they want to go outside the box, which is not a bad idea. But I believe that there is something called going too far out the box, and you just destroy
where
stuff.
the creative liberties are
exactly.
just too far out.
I'm like, dude, like, when is this supposed to be? Like, I don't understand. Like, it tells you the year. But I'm just gonna call this a multiversal story because I'm like that guy, like,
just an alternate thing.
Yeah, like it is what it is.
All right, so variant Master Chief. How is the general audience like taking the series? Are they enjoying it? Is it?
It's about like my take. Like they like some stuff, they don't like. I mean, some people like it, but a lot of us are like, dude, what the heck? Like, there's a group of us. We watch it on Discord. We watch it together. Like somebody will stream it on Discord, and we'll be like in a channel, and we're just like typing in the thing, like, dude, what the heck is this?
That's how I was with Morbius yesterday. I was, but I had nobody to like say that to, because I went by myself.
But I mean, you know that, like, come on, dude. Like, how long have I been toting about Halo?
I know,
since I was a kid.
Yeah. That's why I'm so worried. Like, I think like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they said that they were developing a Kingdom Hearts TV show for Disney Plus, and I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything about it, and I'm worried that they're just gonna. I'd rather it just be a game, you know, a game that I remember loving.
There's certain things that like they just need to stay games. Like Halo had the potential to become a live action show. It's just no respect for the source material. Another one that could be potentially a live action show is Gears of War, and I feel like if they bring that in, they could destroy that too. Maybe bring in Sam Raimi because it has that like kind of horror element to it. But
yeah,
but yeah, that's I forgot. But I heard that Moon Knight's pretty good so far. I need to hop on that.
It's only been one episode, but it's a strong first episode. I've seen some criticism that like they cut away from the action, but that's part of the story because this is a character with dissociative identity disorder. So the main character that we're following is like an identity of this character that doesn't realize his, you know, alter ego or his, you know, his other identity is like a mercenary type character.
His other identity is a Batman.
Yes, kind of, a little bit, but it's a very different.
Yeah,
he kind of has a look that's similar to Batman, but he's the entire purpose of the character is very different.
Yeah,
like he's like I said, he's got like he's got a mental disability where he has multiple personalities.
Yeah,
he's a dude who
has other dudes in his mind.
He was like resurrected by an Egyptian god, and now basically has to do the God's bidding. And that's pretty much the gist of it. It's kind of like the story kind of feels like it almost wants to be The Mummy so far, where there's a certain like aspect to it that's like, you know, he lives out of a museum a little bit, and it has that feel, which I'm enjoying. So far so good.
Nice. Yeah. I'll watch it. I'll watch it this weekend. I gotta get something to scrub the heartbreak off.
All right, you know what you can get to scrub the heartbreak off.
Wait.
I've been rewatching Daredevil.
Dude,
you got to rewatch it.
man, Charlie Cox is just so good. Like at both characters.
Matt Murdock and Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yes, totally. We've been rewatching the first season. We should do some of the Defenders shows on Project Ecology.
Oh
at
yeah,
some point.
no, definitely. I agree.
So
I agree.
Definitely rewatch at least the first season of Daredevil, so we can talk about that soon.
100%. But yeah, we're about 30 minutes in.
You want to talk about some vengeance?
I'm going to talk about some vengeance.
All right, so tell me.
I mean, that's really what this film should have been called, The Vengeance.
The Vengeance. Yeah, I feel like The Batman is an interesting name. It could have just been Batman as well, and it probably would have had the same effect. But The Batman,
I liked it.
kind of.
I like the at the end. I mean, at the beginning, dude.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to wake up, so.
Yeah, it's a good thing you had that coffee before recording. Yeah, no, I actually do like the before it.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's a character that not everybody understands yet, and you see that throughout the movie. Like, there's people who don't really understand what his MO is, other than all he says is "I'm vengeance." You know, when he when he strikes stuff down.
and Gordon calls him that too.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I loved it. I watched it. I've seen it 3 times now.
Oh wow! I haven't hit the 3rd time, but I've seen it twice, back to backs.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, Jen and I decided we were gonna go watch it a 3rd time because her brother hadn't seen it, and we wanted to take him. So he enjoyed it.
It's a good.
He's
excuse.
He's a funny guy, man. Like he heard that they play Something in the Way. He's a big Nirvana fan. And he's just like, yeah, I'll go see that. So that's why that was the selling point for him. Speaking of Something in the Way, I really like the almost emo take on Bruce Wayne that they took, you know? And if you are paying attention, like when he's going back into the Batcave and he's going over the footage, he actually turns down the volume on the radio, and that's when Something in the Way stops. So it's actually like he was listening to Something in the Way.
Yeah.
And we only found out when he turned it down. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I like the tech.
The tech is cool. It's realistic too. Like, it's believable tech.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I think that a lot of, like, I heard, there's criticisms on Pattinson's, like, his Bruce, but the way that I saw it, though, and it really, like, hits home when you get to the end of the film, is that, this is a young Batman, and I didn't notice it until like the second watch through of the film, is that he's only been doing it for 2 years at that point. He had only been doing it for 2 years. So he's a younger Batman. He has established his presence, of course. Like, I mean, he's known, but he's still inexperienced, and it's very apparent that he's inexperienced. And I actually like that. I thought it was really good. I really liked that this was also, like, heavily on, like, the detective side of Batman. It kind of reminded me of the Arkham games. It was very dark, like, tonally also, like, darker than, like, a lot of these other Batman films that we've gotten, like, even darker than the Nolan trilogy.
Yeah, sure.
And then like all the
this isn't a Batman movie you can take your nephew or your niece to. It's a little dark.
Yeah, no, it's really, really dark. The take that they had on the Riddler was like really, really cool.
But he's also extremely brutal, and that's probably the reason I wouldn't take a young kid to see it. Like he's very creepy.
He did that actor, man. Like he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, Dana. Yeah, he did a great job. Yeah, I actually really liked the concept of this is a new Batman.
Yeah,
and he hasn't really found a balance yet in his life.
Right.
He has devoted everything to being the Batman character. He hasn't spent any time as Bruce Wayne in the limelight. You know, there's a couple scenes where they mention something like that. I think the mayor-elect,
yes,
Bella Real says that you haven't been doing enough for your city. And also there's the Falcone. He says something along the lines of like, the only guy in the city more reclusive than me.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You'd imagine that, like, you know, a major drug lord would be pretty reclusive. So, yeah, this guy is barely out of his house.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, it hits home a little bit more, especially when you get to the end of the film, when he hits the realization that he needs to be more than what he has been. And
yes,
that I think at that point, that's when, you know, say that they continue on with him, that you'll probably start seeing more of that playboy billionaire Bruce Wayne. So yeah,
absolutely. So he hasn't really developed that side of him yet. He's like I said, he's devoted so much of his time to being Batman,
right,
that he's just neglected the Bruce Wayne aspect. So whenever you see Bruce Wayne, he's like super tired, super beaten down, always looks hungover.
I know. Eye makeup on all the time.
Yeah, lack of sleep. But it's fun. I like the fact that you can see him like writing in a notebook, almost like Rorschach and Watchmen. You know, just the narration that you hear on screen.
Yeah.
Over the footage, like from Batman, is actually what he's writing down in the notebook. And when he closes it, you can see that it's year 2, October. So this is the second year that he's been doing it, and October 31st is the last day of October. So that's where he ends that notebook. So I just like the direction of that. And like you said, that's what you said that I wanted to touch on, the detective side of things.
Yeah.
You know, the flagship series for Batman isn't called Batman. It's called Detective Comics, you know? He was considered the world's greatest detective.
Yeah.
And he is in the comics, you know? Like, the ongoing series, it's like over 1,000 issues now of Batman, is Detective Comics, where he actually goes and detectorizes, you know? He's a great detective, and with the duo of him and Commissioner Gordon in this film...
Dude, I loved it.
They do such a good job.
That combo... I really liked how they worked so closely together, and this was, you know, this is before a Commissioner Gordon. This is a Detective Gordon. So they're working close together, and I really like it because he's put his trust in this person. He didn't even know who the heck they are. Yes, he's like he's even said it like, he's like, I've been working with you for 2 years. I don't even know who you are. You know? Yeah.
It's true. I think that Detective Gordon has a good judge of character.
Yeah.
And he understands that this guy is out to do good, even though his means aren't exactly aligned with, you know, the police way of doing things. But as we see throughout this movie, the police way of doing things is backwards, because they seem to be run by the drug cartel.
And he started seeing
the drop cartel, which I thought that was a really interesting take on like a fictional drug.
Oh yeah, I think that dude, I really liked Jeffrey Wright and the Gordon
as Detective Gordon, right? Yeah,
amazing, dude. I don't know what it is. Like, I feel like every role that I see him step into, he just like delivers this really good performance. I mean, in Westworld, there's been a couple other things that I've seen him in that aren't coming to mind right now, but I just feel like he does a really good job. It's like he knows the role. He sees what role he needs to portray, and like he just embodies it. And he was a very believable James Gordon. Like, I just really think he did like good. Like, I was like, man, like he's a fantastic job. Like, I wouldn't have like I don't think I would have like seen him in the role, but like seeing him in that role, like, well, then again, like I don't know who I would put in as James Gordon. I mean, your boy from the Nolan trilogy did a really good job too, but like this one, he really like stepped into that character, and like I really saw like, okay, yeah, this is a Detective Gordon, like, and he's really good. He's got that. He's really like hands on with Batman.
And you know what? You don't even question it when you're watching the movie. You don't even question it. Like, I didn't even think about whether or not he was a good James Gordon until after I had seen it. I was just like, oh yeah, I never questioned that he wasn't James. It was so good. It was so believable. And his voice, man, his tenor is so... It's perfect for movies. I would love to hear a podcast.
He sounded like a James Gordon, Jeffrey Wright. Honestly. Like, he had that, like, that gruffness to it. You know, yeah, but I applaud him for that. He did a fantastic... that performance was great.
And, like, jumping back into the whole, like, detective side of things... For the first 30 minutes or so, I was like, this is really cool. This is like exactly what I've always wanted from a Batman movie. Is actually like him being a detective for a good portion of it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was going to be a detective for the entire movie. And that blew me away. And that's the first thing I texted, because I'm in a group chat with my family, because my dad was like, how is it? And I was just like, dude, they actually made a Detective Comics movie, and it felt so good. It felt so right.
Yeah.
So I was super pleased with that.
You know, I know we touched a little bit on Robert Pattinson. You know, he had a bad rap after the whole Twilight stuff, and I mean, you know, it is what it is. You know, people kind of had a sour look on him because of that, and they're like, oh wow, man, we got sparkly vampire that's gonna be Batman. But dude, like, I think he took that role and he really stepped into it. He did a really good Batman. You know, that's the one of the jokes is like, you know, when the vampire becomes the bat, you know. You know,
I've seen that.
But he did really good. I know that Robert Pattinson is a good actor, and I am also guilty of, you know, kind of thinking like, you know, he kind of took on the Twilight thing, but you know, he was taking on a role that seemed like a really big role. It's a series that
was
like really exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, it's so
many. It didn't get much bigger than Twilight, maybe like Harry Potter back then, but that's it.
Yeah, exactly. But he did good.
It is crazy. Like, there was a lot of people who were genuinely like turned off by the fact that Robert Pattinson was going to be the next Batman. I you know, the week leading up to the movie, people were still talking about that.
Right.
And not so much on social media, or at least not the circles that I'm in. But like in person, like I would hear conversations like in the comic book store. You know, I'm perusing the shelves and I hear like, because dude, comic book store conversations are just so fun to just be a fly on the wall for. But like people were genuinely like, I don't know, man, that's not Batman. That's not Batman.
Yeah.
But the week after, everyone was just like, I think he did a really good job. You know, I think I'm sorry, it's the New York's the New York accents over there.
No, I thought you were like in the Crime Family or something right now. Like for a sec, I was like, dang, okay. The Falcone Crime Family.
Well, I love that, you know, the crime families, they all have like Chicago or New York accents just to make them extra slimy.
Yeah, man, it's funny.
It is, though. It is. It's the truth. But, dude, he did a good job. I'm 100% sold. I can't wait to see more of this character. Did you feel that it was a long movie? Because it was a long movie, but did you feel that it was?
You know, it's funny. And I think I text you after. Didn't I text you?
Yes.
I was like, I was like, yeah, man, I'm sitting in the movie, and like, you know, I was like, okay, you know, I'm hitting 2 hours, and then like I'm like 2.5 hours in, and I'm like, dang, man, this thing's still going. Like,
and then bombs start going off. It's like 2.5 hours in, and bombs start going off, and like the movie actually starts. I'm like, oh no,
dude. I'm like, yo, let me look this up, man. It said like 2 hours and 52 minutes. I was like, oh my god, I didn't even realize it was this long. I enjoyed it. I think that they could have shortened it a little bit. Some things might have dragged on a little bit. And like, man, like I felt like so much did happen. I was like, yo, man, this guy Riddler like just had all these domino pieces set up, and he's like, all these domino pieces are gonna fall for 3 hours long. I mean, it was like I guess it wasn't as bad to me if I went to go see it a second time. So
okay, I guess the question I was trying to ask was, did you ever feel like, all right, so an example, I was watching Morbius yesterday. Yeah. By the midway point, I was like, this is way too long. Like, I need this to be over. I was debating leaving. Just because, you know, I saw everything I needed to see. It just isn't a good movie. But after I finished, I was just like, what the heck? I came in at 4 o'clock and it's not even 6 o'clock. That means, like, including the trailers, I looked it up. It was, you know, well under 2 hour movie, and it felt like a 3 hour mess. You know, so when the pacing is off,
yeah,
it kind of ruins it. But with the Batman, the pacing is so smooth; it never misses a beat, and I think that's just
right. You know, like I don't think that there was ever a point in the film that I felt like dang, man, like what the heck's going on, like. You know, I mean, it caught me off guard when like I noticed that 2.5 hours went by, and I'm like, dang, it's been 2.5 hours, and I was like, dang, man, it seems like we still got a little bit more to go. I think more so was like my bladder was like, I was like, bro, that last hour I was dying, dude. I was like, dude, and like. You know, if a film's not good, like I'll be like, okay, you know, I'll go. But I was like, nah, man, this is good. I need to finish this. I'm rocking back and forth, man, tapping my feet like the last 15 minutes, dude. And oh my gosh. And then I was like, oh crap, I gotta wait for the credits now too, because you know Marvel's got me trained.
And it turns out there's like it was nothing. It was like the link to a movie website. I was really pleased with the pacing of the movie. Like my brother-in-law, the one we took to see it on our third go around, he has some sort of like undiagnosed like ADHD. Like he has attention deficit disorder. But he watched the entire thing. Like at the end, he was just like, wow, that was a good movie.
Yeah, no.
You know, he was able to sit through the entire thing. There was action throughout. So I think that kind of like solidified in my mind, like, all right, you know, even people who have a hard time not looking at their phones every 10 seconds could sit through a movie like this. But you know, I noticed a couple things throughout my like viewings that I think are really interesting. The movie focuses on the eyes a lot and like what it wants you to see, because like if you're sitting in like the middle to the back of the theater, you'll notice that the sides of the screen sometimes are blurred out, and they want you to focus on the center, whatever's being shown at that moment.
Oh yeah,
and it's actually it's a type of lens, an anamorphic lens that kind of distorts the outside of the image a little bit, and it focuses your eyesight towards what the camera wants you to look at. So, and I noticed it pretty much only happens when you're in the viewpoint of whoever is the main character in the scene. So sometimes you're in the viewpoint of Batman, and sometimes you're looking through his cowl, and so they'll put a little bit of vignetting or like black corners around the edges so that it looks like you're looking through his lens, or it'll focus on like the eyes, and then it'll show what the eyes are looking at. So the whole movie is really a window into the eyes of the characters, and it's told through that lens. And even like the tech, the tech with the special contact lenses,
those things were awesome,
that you can see through a character's viewpoint. I think the whole movie kind of touches on the idea of perception, and like how you interact with something, and how the world perceives the Batman. And I talking about or going back to what you mentioned earlier, there's at the end of the day, like, he can't just be vengeance. He can't just be a vehicle of fear to drive change. He has to be hope. So it isn't until like the end when he realizes that the villains of the story are using his "I'm vengeance" thing that he decides to change pace and become something more than just vengeance. So the villains perceived him to be like them. But so I think it's just a powerful direction all over. I want to make a whole video about like perception and viewpoint through the Batman movie. Once that's like available digitally, I think I want to jump into that.
No, I agree. I think that I really do, like, when I talked about the tech, I was really thinking about those contacts, and I was like, I thought it was insane. I was like, man, this isn't tech that I've seen before. And it's not like he used a lot. I mean, he had his grapple.
Right.
He had that wingsuit that I thought was really cool. But like the contacts, like, I was like, man, that totally could be a thing. What did you think about Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle?
I really enjoyed the performance. I wasn't sure about the casting when it was first announced, but she does have... I don't know what it is about Selena Kyle and Catwoman, but Zoe Kravitz's whole demeanor actually is very much like that. Almost like she has that cat burglar, doing the catwalk sort of thing vibe, like in check. Like she's excellent at that look. I'm having a hard time putting words to it, but I appreciate her performance a lot, to be honest with you.
Right, like,
and her and Pattinson had so much chemistry.
Yeah, they really did. And you know what's crazy is that, like, when I saw her, like, I had immediately thought about like Halle Berry and her like Catwoman, but like I was like, oh, but this was like so much better. Like the like it was like done better, and
right. Well, it's done straight, It's not like super campy. It's not overly corny, and they played it straight in the sense that this isn't some person who has developed actual superpowers by being resurrected by cats.
Yeah.
This is a cat burglar with a cat suit, who, like during the day is like a bartender at a club. That's her. I liked the more, I don't know, modern take on it.
Yeah, it made sense. Like I think she did a really good job. What about your boy? Colin Farrell as Penguin?
Oh, Colin Farrell, dude! I cannot believe that was Colin Farrell. In the trailers, I was just like, "There's no way that's Colin Farrell. He's got to be playing a different character." He did a good job.
Bro, you know what's kind of crazy is that, like, with the way that they made him look, there was a couple times that he kind of looked like Ray Liotta.
Okay. Oh yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Ray Liotta, like, with crazy makeup on. He did pretty good. It was crazy that they had like all these like different, these different villains in it. I mean, technically, I would say, what would you call Selena Kyle, like an anti-hero?
Well, she is.
Yeah.
You know, she's in it for her own motives. She's not trying to do anything for the good of anyone but herself. You know, like she goes to that crime scene or that meetup to steal money, not because she wants to bring it in for evidence. She wants it to get out of town.
Right.
You know,
right.
she's a thief at the end of the day. She's a cat burglar, and that doesn't make her necessarily a bad person, but she's not a hero.
Right.
In the story.
So it's funny that you bring that up because it makes me think, and it's cool because we were talking about, you know, that this being an early Batman, and so when I saw the Batmobile, I was like, okay, this is like an early version of the Batmobile, and I thought it was really cool. And like, man, when that engine started roaring, I was like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah. So there's that like little, it's a weird scene, and I don't know what to make of it, where the engine starts roaring up and like everyone's looking, and you know, like it's making a bunch of noise, it's shaking, and then it jerks forward like 2 feet and stops. Did he stall? Is that what happened there? Did he stall the vehicle? Or I don't know, was he like just like, you know, trying to scare them?
I think what he was doing is that he was tapping into his inner Fast and Furious, you know. It's like getting ready to, you know, take off. It's like vroom.
Yeah, I guess.
No, I think it was like more of like I don't think he stalled out. I think he
it was intentional.
It was intentional,
like that
yeah.
jerk.
I mean, I could be wrong, but like that's how I perceived it.
My only question is, or my only concern with that is, that's what allowed Penguin to get out of that facility in the first place. You know, that little jerk of the engine kind of allowed the villains to escape and cause all that mayhem on the freeway. So yeah, I don't. But it was a really cool car chase.
Yeah, it was.
I really love that.
I think the only other like chase that could probably rival that one is the one from the Book of Boba Fett.
Yes, I totally agree. You know, it all it needed was the Penguin to like crash into a bunch of fruits, a bunch of mangoes,
and then Batman just like dropping in front of him with a jetpack. Right. Oh my gosh. But yeah, no, I agree. Like, I thought it was a really good chase, and it still like it went. I don't know what it was. Like, I just felt like this film, there wasn't something that made it feel like it left what it was trying to build tonally. Like, even like all the fast-paced stuff, just it was a slow movie, but like and even with that car chase, it still like maintained that, you know, the pacing, totally. Like you said.
Continuing with like what I was mentioning about like its relation to the eyes and perception and point of view, a lot of it dealt with people looking in rear view mirrors, or you know, like the side mirrors to make sure that the Batman isn't on his tail or whatever. Yeah. And like when the car flips over, dude, this is what blows me away is you know, in most movies, if a car flips over and is like going through the air, they won't show you inside the vehicle for the most part. They'll show the car in slow motion doing this crazy flip, and that's cool. But what the Batman shows you is what it's like being in a car
when it flips over
during that. Yeah,
I thought that was cool. You know, I like that.
He's moving around. He's trying to like get a grasp of, you know, the ground basically, and when the car's on its on the back, when the car's on its back, instead of, you know, just showing the car on its back and Penguin looking out, they actually show you upside down footage from his perspective,
right,
of the Batman walking over. Dude, it's just so cool. Or I'm just kind of gushing about how good the attention to detail is about like what people are looking at. So in the beginning of the movie, I loved the whole sequence like before the Batman even shows himself. You know, like there's a slew of like random crimes being committed.
I loved it.
And then they show the bat symbol up in the sky, and the criminals stop what they're doing. They run away, and they like look into the shadows, and it shows you what the shadows, or like, you know, it shows you the sinister quality of the shadows, and it's fear that's being projected out of these criminals.
Right, and it kind of gave that like look of like a growing darkness, you know.
Yes.
And it was really good, because it's like he's built up this reputation, and I think he mention it that he doesn't even have to be there and they're already afraid. Like, you know, he wasn't in any of these moments, but they were still like, oh crap, Batman might be in there.
Yeah.
Let me get out of there.
Like he said, fear is a tool. And the bat symbol in the sky causes criminals, when they're, you know, committing crimes, to be fearful, because he could be anywhere. He always comes out of the shadows. And then when they actually do show him, like I think it's like 5 minutes into the movie, which is, you know, of a build up, especially with the music by Michael Giacchino.
Oof.
Dude. And then, you know, it's those that group of thugs that are just like, who do you think you are? And he just like beats the crap out of one of them. He goes on vengeance, and then, dude, it's nuts. It's an incredible moment.
Right. With the composer. I mean, I already had liked him because he did really good on the Lost series.
Did Giacchino do Lost?
Yes.
Really? I didn't know that. Oh, well, that actually makes sense. He has a history of working with J.J. Abrams too. Like he did the Star Trek movies that J.J. did. He's done a couple things. You know, he's doing the. I think he's done some Spider-Man. Yeah, he did the most recent Spider-Mans. He did Rogue One. He's done some good stuff.
But yeah, look, see, like I just pulled up like a random one.
Okay, yeah, Lost season 4. Anthony showing.
Well, he did.
Giacchino.
I think I don't know if he did the entire series, but I mean, I know for the most part, like he had done like at least most of it.
Yeah, so Giacchino's theme here is really, really cool. The Batman theme, I remember when it was first announced, like when they first showed his costume, they also showcased the new theme, and it's such a powerful theme because it just keeps going. Right. It keeps going, and then when you think you're at the tip, it like they like throw in like horns, and it's just like such a triumphant,
right? Like,
almost like a scary. It's like a horror. Theme.
Yeah. Like I something that I noticed was that like was that like this Batman like lightly did touch, like it seemed a little like horror, but like, and I wouldn't say thriller, because thrillers usually like kind of get your like heart racing, but like this one
there was elements of that, especially when
of like horror. Yeah.
Well, and thriller stuff, like when the DA had the bomb around his neck.
Oh, that's true.
He had only 2 minutes. He had only 2 minutes to answer those 3 riddles. That was, you know, that was scary. Yeah. The timer was like really freaky. You felt that this guy was like about to die, and he knew he was about to die, and then he died. Yeah, you know, it was almost like a Saw moment, you know, where it was just like a game that he had to beat, but he couldn't.
Right, which, you know, now that I think about it, like I wonder if that character was inspired by the Riddler, because I know that there's versions of the Riddler in the comic that are very like this Riddler.
That's an interesting thought. Maybe.
But
maybe in some ways, yeah.
But yeah, I just overall this film was really, I really liked it. I thought it was just like a different, like, I don't know what it is. Like, I know that the DCEU, they're like trying to do something, but like all these like side things that they're doing are like knocking it out of the park. Like, it's like, I mean, what are y'all doing over here? Because these people over here are doing something that's working. You need to get with these people. Maybe this needs to be the DCEU, and you guys just take this and not make it canon anymore.
You know what I think DC should try and do? And this may sound like a crazy idea, but you know, if they actually want a universe that's just like super populated with heroes and stuff like that, they should jump in to almost like one of their like crisis events, like Crisis on Infinite Earths or Infinite Crisis, and make a full-fledged movie with brand new characters, or brand new actors playing these characters, but like imagine that it's the actual DC Comics universe entirely filled out. There's already a Nightwing, there's already multiple Robins, there's crazy spirit guys like the Spectre, there's just a slew of heroes that are just inhabiting this universe and just playing it straight, you know? Like, I wonder what that would look like if they jumped into a universe that was already populated by everybody, you know? Instead of just trying to introduce two characters here, one character there. We'll do a mashup of Batman v Superman over here. I'm curious if that would work, or if I'm just, you know, or if that just wouldn't work with audiences.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm not too sure, because I mean, Marvel, and maybe like it worked for Marvel because I mean they did like the one at a time thing, and then they started like, you know, incorporating a couple here and there, but like think about some of the animated movies. If you just like, take a second.
Right,
and so like that's where I say that DC really excels. Like their animated stuff is like amazing, you know.
Right.
And I mean, like,
but I think of like stuff like Justice League Unlimited, the show.
Oh,
like,
dude,
was just,
I loved it.
It was all the heroes there. You know, there was.
Yeah. Okay, so I see where you're going. Like, you know, make like a movie where like these characters are already like kind of established, because we really didn't like question it when we watched these shows. You know.
No, absolutely not. So, like, what if there was already a Justice Society, a Justice League, a Doom Patrol, just all these random superhero teams and supervillain teams?
Teen Titans.
I feel like Teen Titans, yeah. What if all of these existed already in a singular movie or TV show? You know, like if they did like a limited series TV show and show, like, I think if they did something like Infinite Crisis or just some random event series as like a limited series on HBO Max, do it like a 5-episode, 6-episode thing, but like throw all your money at it, do with all new actors, no connective tissue before that, spawn your universe out of something like that, you know. I think that would be cool.
It's like, yeah, they definitely have to do something, because their live action stuff has really been just like hit or miss. I mean, I know that they did that whole Crisis on Infinite Earths thing
with the Arrowverse,
right? With the Arrowverse.
So, what did you think of the Riddler? Let's talk a little bit more about his portrayal, like this version of the character. We mentioned that he's kind of like almost it's similar-ish to what, like a Saw type character.
Oh yeah,
but
thumb drive.
Yeah, lots of awkward and weird and creepy puzzles, but he's a believable character, you know. Built out of a system that almost seems to have purposely led him and others astray, you know, like he was just in a system of neglect.
Right. And I feel like this character, I feel like somebody like that could actually exist, which is like, which I think what made him a lot more like frightening. And
well, even I think the frightening part for me was that he had copycat killers.
Yeah,
you know?
You're right.
That there were people who
were inspired
idolized,
by him. Yeah,
were inspired by that, and they were people likewise people who were beaten down by the system, or felt like the government neglected them, or that they were neglected by others. Whatever the case may be, they, you know, basically embodied the Riddler persona.
Yeah.
By the end, and they as a force, they were much stronger than just the one guy, obviously. But Yeah, that's what kind of scared me, because we actually see some of that stuff in real life. You see it on the news all the time of people being radicalized by ideas, by notions, or, elections, stuff like that, which this also touches on. And what's funny is that this was written and filmed, for the most part, way before the most recent election cycle, and that caused a lot of craziness. And this is... what's funny is that this isn't a reaction to that, because this was already part of the story and filmed before any of that happened. But the fact that it almost kind of predicted it in a little bit, in a way, just kind of goes to show how much of a grasp the writers had on the human psyche and the ability to be misled in these ways, no,
I agree. It's really crazy, because this Riddler, there were some things that were very it was almost like we were getting a Joker, but with the mind of the Riddler, just he
had the presence of a Joker type character.
Right. And he did he did so good, and just that theme that he had with it. It was just so the way that they mixed it just was so horrific.
Yeah. The theme that you're talking about, I think you're talking about the Ave Maria.
Ave Maria,
theme.
yeah, but they put their own touch on it.
Right, totally, yeah. I what I liked is, and you'll notice it more on rewatches and stuff, when in the beginning, again, talking about perspective and what the characters are looking at, he's looking at the mayor of the city with binoculars, and he's following him up and down his building, whatever, and you hear heavy breathing through his mask as he's about to commit a murder.
Right.
And you hear the Ave Maria playing over his, watching them. So that just kind of becomes his persona, or the song that plays in his head, because that's also the song that he starts singing at the end of the movie when he's in Arkham.
I know, bro, but let me tell you though, when he started singing it, I'm like, yo, this guy is far gone.
Yeah, he's down the rabbit hole, and around the corner. But he did a great job.
Yeah.
When he starts talking about he starts screaming no, this is not how this is supposed to go, this is not supposed to happen, you finally realize he's looked up to the Batman and he feels like they've been partners up until this point.
Yeah.
Which is creepy, and that's part of why the Batman has to change his tactics from vengeance to hope.
Yeah, and yeah, so that's why I think I was able to I think that's why Pattinson's portrayal of Bruce didn't bother me as much as it bothered others, because I saw that this was a Bruce Wayne that hasn't found that balance yet, that he's essentially Batman all the time.
Yes, yeah, so he realizes that he can do more as Bruce Wayne as well, probably by the end of the movie.
Right.
As a beacon of hope. Because we have to also realize that he didn't realize that his parents' name has been besmirched at this point.
Right.
The entire renewal program that they had set out for Gotham has been being drained over the past 20 years by Gotham's elite and the underworld of Gotham. They've all been leeching off of this $1 billion nonprofit, basically, that was put into place before the Waynes were killed.
Right. And and then also I don't know if you caught it, but regular civilians were afraid of him too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that's part of
you noticed that mayor elect, she was kind of when he tried to help her, she was kind of
right. It wasn't until a child, the child that he had seen earlier in the film, that he reached out and grabbed the Batman's hand that she decided to do that. Even like in the beginning, after the Batman saves that one guy on the subway, from that mob, he goes, "Please don't hurt me." Meanwhile, Batman just saved his life.
Him,
you know.
But like, this Batman's motives weren't exactly that. Like they weren't exactly clear. Like they knew that he went after criminals, but they weren't really like. They didn't really like. They just knew that he was just some like brutal like vigilante. Just beating the heck out of people. Like I mean, there was like some. It's like there's like moments where he lacked restraint.
Oh yeah, totally. And there were times where he had to be held back. Sometimes, like near the end of the movie, where he nearly like beats the guy to a pulp. He has to be held back by Selina and Jim Gordon. That was kind of fueled by that adrenaline rush that he like shot into his
That was
leg,
adrenaline, right?
I'm assuming
because he was like,
or some cocktail.
It had to have been, man. Because you know what was a good something that somebody like had brought up, and and in that moment it might not be, but it's something that could become is Venom that Bane uses.
That vein, yes, actually, and
that
kind of looked
like
similar. It kind of had that look that it was like a similar cocktail of chemicals that Bane gets from Ace Chemicals and all that. So, yeah, that's a possibility. That's for sure a possibility. It could have been directly from there,
Right,
it could be the same cocktail.
But yeah, that man, he went like, and so when I saw that theory, I was like, I could totally see it, and especially like, I mean, he went wild after you taking it too, and that's when he had to be restrained. What did you think about your boy? Schmeagol.
Took me a bit.
Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis. I haven't met a role that I haven't been happy Andy Serkis took on, because he's really good at playing really crazy characters. He's really good at playing, fictional monsters, and he's really good at playing apes. He's really good at playing, the wise butler character.
But let me tell you though, like I feel like this Andy Serkis or this Alfred Pennyworth is like this is one that he's like. He could throw down. Like if a fight came, he'd be there to fight.
Oh yeah, he seems like he almost has like a classic Bond feel to him. Like he knows a thing or two about like the spycraft and all that. So I like that about him.
Right, and I mean they have that show out though that it's like Pennyworth, and he's essentially that type of character. So
I haven't
watched it either, but like that's probably what they were going with, and I liked it too, and I actually like heard something that and it made sense about this character, where somebody was talking about this Alfred and then the Alfred that they see in that show. And when you see the bomb that shows up in the mansion, like that tower, it was supposed to allude to like him getting killed, but they're like, with this Alfred that I'd been seeing, this like spy, this like it's like an Alfred that's a spy. That Alfred gave me that vibes very much so like I knew that he didn't die because he just seems somebody that's very in tune with knowing this stuff. And so yeah, he did really good.
Like the moment he saw the letter written to the Batman in like fireproof enveloping, that was a sure sign for him to throw away the package, but not in time for him to get caught in the crossfire and actually burned, and he was in the hospital for a couple of days, I think.
Right.
What's interesting, and it may not be apparent on a first viewing, unless you're paying like close attention to actually like what's being said and what's being done, is the fear that as we're learning more about the targets of Riddler's rampage throughout the city, Bruce Wayne is worried that the Riddler's figured out who he is. So when he targets Bruce Wayne, he assumes that, he assumes the worst. He assumes that the Riddler has figured it out. But when he goes to the Riddler in Arkham, that's when he really gets freaked out, because he starts going, Bruce Wayne, and
I know you see the fear. You're like, oh, he's like.
You see the fear in Batman's eyes, and then he says something like, "That's the only one we didn't get," and then it clicks, and it clicks in Batman's head.
He kind of like let out a little bit of a like breath, like mentally, just like, okay.
Yes, yeah, like, oh, I didn't have much to worry about besides my loved ones being attacked, but yeah, it was really well done, because in the movie, you're just like, is he saying Bruce Wayne because he knows this is Bruce Wayne?
Right.
It seems like it. It seems like it. But he wouldn't have written a letter in fireproof enveloping to Batman if he thought that Batman and Bruce Wayne were the same person,
Yeah. He would have probably have said, like, to Bruce Wayne or something like that. And like, man, like the way the Riddler like would say some of that like stuff prolonged, like it was creepy, it was so dude. Creepy, like that character. Let's talk a little bit about like this Gotham. This Gotham, like I really liked it because like I felt like it was Gotham. In the Nolan trilogy, it almost kind of just felt like New York, but this one. I mean, it's essentially New York, but it gave me that Gotham vibes of like what Gotham would be like in a realistic setting. They did really good, like, the darkness, the rain, just the vibe. The city itself, the setting went well with the theme of the movie, and it just like for me, I think that they did a really good job with setting that up.
It also wasn't like overly dark, and it wasn't overly goofy. Sometimes it, like in the Batman movies from the 80s and 90s, Gotham was often depicted as like, the criminals were like really goofy criminals. Like they're always wearing like glow sticks and stuff, like they just came out of a rave or whatever. But like you said, I really appreciate the way that they depicted Gotham. Did you know that a lot of the movie was filmed on like the same type of set that The Mandalorian was filmed on, which is like the circular stage?
Yeah, what was that called?
So the technology is called stagecraft, but the actual device is called the volume, and it's a big,
dude, that's
almost 360 degree like LED set that is attached to the camera, and as you move, the background warps so that whatever's in the frame of the camera is always in focus. It's a really cool technology. It's I think it's the future of movies and like shows.
I like it. It really like adds. I think it really like helps with the lighting and makes it look a little bit more natural. Like, with The Mandalorian, it did that, and in all honesty, like I would not have known that, like unless you told me. I did not know that. I was able to know that with The Mandalorian because I saw the documentary.
Next time you look at the scenes where they're like next to the bat symbol, like the big light, and they're overlooking the city, you can kind of tell that it isn't a real city in the background, but it's so good. Like it follows and it tracks them depending on where the camera's looking, because it's basically attached to a computer set as it's moving. So it's really cool.
Dude, nice. That's awesome.
It creates this virtual world that's like working alongside the real world. It's really cool.
Yeah, man. That's cool, man. I need to pay attention to that the next time I like watch the movie.
All right, what do you think of the Joker?
Oh, you're talking about the are you talking about the
tease at the end?
The tease at the end? I thought that I was like, whoa, okay. I thought it was pretty cool.
That may be the only thing I like actively didn't like, if I'm honest.
Well, I mean, like I feel like I didn't get enough to really like formulate. I was like, oh, okay, like that's like it was. I mean, it's exactly what it was, a tease, you know.
Yeah.
I know that they released, and I watched it, a deleted scene with him.
Yeah, I watched that as well. What did you think?
That one, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't
It's
think that it could have
take.
been. I think that they were right for cutting that out because I think it would have been too much.
It's already a long movie, and basically you're adding in a new character.
Exactly.
Almost three quarters into the movie.
And I think that that's why they did that, because like, I mean, like the Joker, the Joker's, that's not somebody that you can cameo for a scene that long without him being in the film like completely. But I mean, like he was hard to look at, though. I will tell you that. When he looked jacked up, but it looked like somebody that fell into chemicals.
A pit of acid, yeah, for sure. I'm 100% in agreement. Like, it was a great scene.
Yeah,
the chemistry between the Joker, the Joker and Batman is really cool. But I'm happy that wasn't in the movie, because it just doesn't. Like, I'm trying to think about like where that would fit.
Yeah.
And that means that we would have had a whole other side story of Batman visiting Arkham, you know.
Yeah.
This is even before the Riddler was imprisoned, you know? So he would have visited Arkham another time. So there's probably even more deleted scenes of him like getting there and like trying to figure out why he would want to go there in the first place. So yeah, I'm happy that they took that out. Just, it's already almost a 3-hour movie, you know?
Right. Yeah. I saw it and I was like, man,
I'd be happy to watch a director's cut, but like, you know, for a theatrical cut, I feel like this was solid.
Yeah. It's just the Joker is like a whole. He's like a whole character that, like I said, like I mean, they had that tease with him, and that's exactly what it was, but that was a whole scene. I mean, it's a longer scene. Like, was that like 5 minutes? I think
it was a 5-minute scene.
5-minute scene, dude. You cannot have a 5-minute scene with the Joker and him just being it was just I visited the Joker, bro. No, that's a main villain that he has to have his own movie.
Right, but what's cool is that he's already met the Joker. You know, like this is a character who he's already put into prison. But what I liked about the scene is that it implies that Batman has a lot of respect for the mind of the Joker. If he's willing to like get advice from him on this new villain, you know, I think that's really interesting.
He's already come across somebody that's like pretty insane and somebody that would probably understand the mind of the Riddler. And so yeah, no, I totally get that. You know, you know that scene with the Riddler and Batman kind of reminded me of that scene in the Nolan trilogy. The like, where is she? Like when they're in the interrogation room. But like when he's like beating out against it, I was like, oh, there he is. Dude, he was like, he was kind of like, oh, like essentially like, oh, I've got Batman exactly where I want him, and so he was like celebrating.
What I actually like really liked about, you know, one of many things, the movie's very good, Batman Begins, is the ending. It's just a little tease. It's a Joker card from like a deck of playing cards, and that was it. That was the tease for the next movie's Joker, and that was excellent. You know, it was short, sweet, but you got the point.
Yeah,
I like that. So let's jump back to the overall like main picture, and let's talk about the ending a little bit as Riddler's plan comes to fruition. he always knew that he was going to be caught and brought to Arkham.
Right.
But he realized that in Arkham he would be safe from the destruction he was about to cause in the city. And I think he places like 9 or 11 different vans across the city wall that blow up, and the...
Dude, I love that
basically
scene with him. He's like, boom! Like behind the glass. Dude, he just kept on doing it. And I was like, yo, this man is freaking ingenious.
I saw the funniest meme actually about like they took that little clip of him yelling like boom as like as stuff was blowing up in the distance. It was like me watching the food in my microwave explode.
That's a good use of that.
Oh, it was so funny. I laughed so hard.
That's good.
But yeah, he broke down the city wall. And,
yeah, that was crazy.
The floodgates around Gotham, you know.
He totally tree bearded that.
Yeah, he flooded the entire thing. It's kind of like what happened with Katrina or what happened with New Orleans in Katrina.
Yeah. The levees,
because the levees broke and the seawater was higher than the town, so it just flooded everything.
Right. Yeah, that was crazy, man.
It got crazy really quick in that movie, you know? Like all of a sudden the whole city was flooding. Everyone was being rushed into Madison Square Garden, and then on top of that there were a bunch of terrorists on top of the like podium thing. Or it wasn't Madison Square Garden, it was like Gotham Square Garden, something like that. But yeah, it was a really and it kept getting crazier and crazier. Like the mayor elect, Bella Real, like she gets up to give a speech and just immediately gets shot. Dude, my heart was pounding.
Yeah. Was it Batman's entrance into that was like very Batman. It was super Batman.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
The
like blow up the ceiling
and then dropping in. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. They did a really excellent job.
They did. It made me want to play the Arkham games.
What I will say, at that point in the movie, it does feel like they take a left turn that you're not expecting. And in some ways it's a good left turn. In other ways it's just like, this movie's going to be 30 minutes longer than I thought, because it seems like that was the ending, you know?
Yeah.
And then they blow up the seawall. Oh man, it's crazy. But I know, I'm happy with what they did.
Yeah, that totally. I was like, oh man, they got him. You know, he definitely made an effect on the city, but they got him. And then for real, like where he was like, oh, I placed the like when he was talking about placing the bombs. I'm like, dang man, we got a whole other like storyline going on right here, where he takes the like rug tucker that he used to kill
the former mayor.
Yeah, the former mayor with, and he had like this whole thing etched under the carpet in his apartment, and he was like literally living right next to was it the iceberg, the ice lounge or something like that?
Yeah.
Dude, that was just like
iceberg lounge. Yeah. And 44 below. Before we close out, let's talk a little bit about Selina Kyle and her relationship with Falcone, and that whole side of things. I thought that whole plot was really well done. Like they didn't really. It wasn't like an info dump. It was like everything was on a need to know basis. Like you only found out about stuff as you needed to find out about it, and when the characters wanted you to find out about it. And I think that was really a good way of doing all that. Like there was a point where you thought that she had a relationship with Falcone based on like how she treated, right, until we find out that no, that's actually her father. And it's just this like crazy twisted family that she's in, and eventually she wants to kill him for what he did to her mother.
Right, and then she found out about her friend too. Yes,
Annika. Yeah, so it's Falcone was in deep. He had too many loose
Yeah,
ends.
and you know, believe it or not, your boy, was it John Turturro? Like, I'm used to him playing these like really corny characters, but he did this really good.
Yeah, he did a really good Falcone character. He plays a mobster really well.
He does. He has that vibe. He has that potential, especially the way that he talks. Like, I'll never forget. Like, and the reason why I say I'm used to him playing corny characters is because I'm used to him in Transformers.
Right. Yeah, that's actually true. So he can be very suave, and that's kind of like the appeal of this, you know, sunglass wearing Falcone character. You know, always playing billiards in his like little penthouse. I think that's kind of just a really, he played it in a way that was just super cool.
Right.
You know?
Right. And like, I mean, he's really persuasive too, because I mean, he had Bruce thinking that his dad was like some, you know, dirty person.
Yeah. And he basically, his father made one mistake at the end of the story, you know?
Yeah.
I think that, you know, all of this kind of wraps up neatly into Riddler's plan to slowly take out all these people who have been wiping out the renewal fund that was meant to help the helpless in Gotham, like the orphans that he grew up with. It was supposed to help take drugs off the street, and now, you know, drops and drop heads are like rampant. Just a bunch of, it was a fleshed out world, you know, like talk about world building. Like Gotham was a fleshed out entity. Like you felt that the way that these people was a byproduct of the surroundings that they grew up in, and they played that really well.
No, I agree. The world building was really good. The casting was really good. I felt like everybody on the cast understood their role, and they really like put their all into it. You know, especially, you know, like these, you know, the like main focuses, you know, like the villain, you know, Batman with Gordon, like they like just like literally I felt like everybody on screen really put in these strong performances.
There were really no characters that I disliked, but there were characters that like whenever I watch I kind of laugh. Like there's the one the twins. I do like the twins. I thought that was just like a funny inclusion. But no, there's that one police officer who talks like this that I laugh whenever he's on screen, just because it's such a funny voice to mimic. You're gonna put yourself on the line for this freak.
Yeah, was it the commissioner, or no? That was the.
I think that was
the commissioner.
I think it was,
bro. And the way he got taken out. Ooh boy.
Ooh. Oh no, not the commissioner. Not the commissioner.
Okay.
It was yeah, no, it was someone else. But yeah, I thought that his voice was funny too, the commissioner. Any last thoughts on the Batman before we close out?
Just a quick little touch. Just that the craziness of the Riddler like murders. The first one being with that Rug Tucker, and like it all had meaning to it, and he had, you know, these like codes that he would add that people had to like, that, you know, the Batman had to essentially figure it out. The whole thing with the thumb drive that like uploaded a whole bunch of like footage up to all these newspapers from Gordon's laptop, that rat cage over the commissioner's head, the DA with the bomb around his neck, like everything just, it had a meaning behind it, and it was supposed to lead to something else, and that I think they did a really good job with establishing that they weren't like random. They weren't like random ways of killing it. It had a purpose behind it, and it was supposed to lead up to something. Like the rats, we're talking about a rat, you know?
Yeah. El Rata Alada? It's gotta be about the worst Spanish I ever heard.
Oh, dude, that was funny. I died laughing. He's like, in the way he does is like very just like mobster. That's the worst Spanish I've ever heard.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, you know, how well everything played into each other, the murder weapon, the Rug Tucker.
Yeah.
I love that Batman or Bruce Wayne had no idea what that was. You know, It wasn't and that speaks to the fact that he has been pampered his whole life.
Yeah.
He's never had to do physical labor like that before. But someone who, comes from a lower class society or lower class family was able to tell him what that tool was, and that's when he realized his mistake. That's when he realized the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Everything had a purpose. The rug tucker had a purpose. He just didn't know what it was until that moment. And I think that's one of the cool divides. Like, Riddler thought the Batman would get the rug tucker thing, but Bruce Wayne would have never gotten that.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that he didn't get right away. So I don't know. I think it's pretty.
No, you're right. And that's why. I thought they did a good job with those, because it all had a meaning behind it. They weren't just random killings with random tools, or just like this, I want to be over the top creative. I mean, it was over the top, but like it had a meaning behind it.
Yeah, and it drove the story forward.
Yeah.
Like, there was never a slow part of the story, because every scene added something new to the story that kept it moving in the direction that it was always heading.
Right.
And I think that's really cool. I think this might be my favorite Batman movie.
I might have to agree with you. Like, it's, and if it's not, it's like it's up there. And I even was thinking like as much as I like the Nolan trilogies, and like, I'll always like go back periodically to those films. I like him. It's Batman. There's something that I got out of this. I got more, just like a different perspective of Batman. It was a side of Batman we never got, a side of Batman that some people don't really like know that's Batman. Like, some people come some people are fans of Batman, but they don't really dive too much into the comics, and so which is fine. There's plenty of fans. There's people who are fans of Batman just through video games,
Sure.
And so, I mean, which you actually get a good bit of detective in those games too. But I really do enjoy that we got that detective, and that was something that I actually had told Miguel, my friend, a future guest of the show, that I enjoyed that it was a detective film.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of those these days, especially not in the superhero genre.
No.
If ever, But yeah, this film is right up there with the Batman, or with Batman Begins and Dark Knight, which to me were pinnacle Batman stories.
Yeah.
Up until now, this might be, just inching above them.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, man. It's a good movie, and I want to see it again. And I kind of now want to play the Batman games.
What I took from it, or rather what my wife took from it, was that you can pretty much... This is one of those movies that you can keep going back to and finding new things. Because there's so much depth in it. There's so much to explore. Like, it wasn't until my third viewing that I was really actively focusing on like the cinematography of the movie, and it's so beautifully done. Like, I know I've been gushing about like point of view and the perspective of the eyes in this movie, and like where the camera wants you to look, and the ways the camera wants you to look. I think that is all really fascinating, and the fact that they were able to not only do that for a couple scenes, but do that throughout the entire movie is really cool. Like, the movie begins with someone looking through the binoculars. The movie ends with somebody looking out at like the rearview mirror of a motorcycle to see, their new love interest drive away. And it's the perspective of the characters. It starts with the perspective of the villain and ends with the perspective of our hero. But I just think that that's just such a singular train of thought that is so unique to the Batman movie that is really cool.
No, I agree. I think that this was a good Batman. I know a lot of people were talking about how much this character seems to be getting like rebooted, and the same with like the Joker and whatnot. But I think that this was a good. I think this was a good step. I'm gonna be honest, and like we've talked about it before. I was never a fan of Batfleck. I was never a fan. Like, I think Ben Affleck is a good actor, and you know, maybe he had some good like moments, but I wasn't sold. I was not sold on his Batman. He just didn't do it for me.
I do like his Bruce Wayne. I think he has a good Bruce Wayne look to him. But yeah, I agree with you on the Batman front. Yeah, my issue with Batfleck's Batman is, you know, we're going into like his 20th year as Batman, and his methods are back to like brutal. You know, like he's like a shoot him first, get the job done second kind of guy. You know, he just is a much more hardened version of the character than I think even is necessary. Or is necessarily like in the comics, you know, like
right.
In the comics, there's a lot more of what you saw at the end of the Batman, where he's like carrying people to safety.
Yeah.
There's a lot more of that in Batman than there is of Batman shooting people.
Right.
You know, I'd probably say like 10 to 20 times as much. And I think that's what people don't understand, is that the Batman isn't just some dark, brooding vigilante, you know? He's a character who's actively trying to help the city of Gotham. You know, it's something that I've always like kind of thought as like my personal headcanon is that everybody in Gotham, like the heroes, the villains, all the anti-heroes and everyone, are products, are mentally ill individuals with that are like byproducts of the system that they grew up in. And this movie does that, like, you know, explains that a little, like, very well, you know. The injustices done to these people have driven them to galvanize into, like, action, whether that be for good or for evil. I think that's part of, you know, what Batman is trying to help people with. You know, I feel like he clearly has a mental issue. Like, nobody would, you know, devote their life to vigilantism in a bat suit. Except a crazy person. You know, he's a high functioning crazy person, yeah. Sure. But you know, I think that he is on a one-man mission, or two-man if you count Alfred. But they're on a mission to help others from meeting that same fate. You know, he doesn't want others to have you know, the fate that he had, where his parents are shot in cold blood, and he, you know, his mind cracks to the point where he's, you know, fighting crime in the middle of the night.
I know, right?
I think that's his whole shtick, is that he doesn't want that for the people of Gotham. And I think that's, I don't know, that's always been like my personal idea of Batman. I don't know if it's necessarily true. It's not always true in the comics, but for the most part, like, it kind of works. But anyway, I think we've been rambling on long enough. We're getting close to the 2-hour mark on this recording.
Yes. And you boys gotta, you know, prep for a stream.
Yeah, I see you getting ready. I see, like, you're starting to, like, kind of get amped up. I think the coffee's finally hit.
Yeah, the coffee's finally hit. But I'm glad that we got this discussion of Batman in. I've been wanting to talk about it. I've also been wanting to get an episode out. And I know that, like, I mean, you spoke to it, that we haven't brought out anything in a while, but we are looking to start ramping it up a bit more. I know that we kind of hit these highs and lows, but you know how it is. Life happens, things happen, and so sometimes you gotta take a step back from some of the things that we like to do. But we're here for it.
We got some stuff that we're like in talks of covering in the coming weeks. I know we've talked about covering Walt Disney World.
Yes,
you know, it's a place that we both love. There's so much to do in Walt Disney World. There's so many different individual little cultures that we can explore,
right.
Whether it's just food, whether it's the rides, whether it's the different parks and the cast members. There's so much to talk about with Walt Disney World. I think that you know, we could do multiple podcasts about that, but
right.
we'll stick to just one.
Right.
And you know,
and we're talking about having a guest for that. I don't know if I mean, I know that we talked about having on my buddy. I don't know if you were, I mean, like, would maybe Jen would want to join too. I mean, we don't have a
she loves Disney, so
we don't have a limitation on just 3 people at once.
That's true. Can we rein 4 people in? I don't know.
4-person
it's like herding
discussion.
cats. Yeah. We like I said earlier, I would like to talk about the Defenders stuff.
Oh,
so
yes,
like
for sure.
Daredevil.
For sure.
So if you want to get caught up on at least Daredevil season 1, we can pump out an episode for that.
Sounds good, man.
Moon Knight's coming up. We can talk about Obi-Wan coming up. We got the Halo series that we can dog on.
Well, you said Obi-Wan.
So much
Were you
to talk
talking about me or no? I'm just kidding.
you better be in full costume for our Obi-Wan review, man.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, dude. I mean, I actually plan on, like, I'll have my ensemble by then, so.
Cool. All right, bro. I'm gonna let you get to your stream. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate that you have listened to almost 2 hours of us talk at this point. We hope you enjoyed the movie as well. If you did, please be sure to let us know on Twitter at PGeekology and Instagram at Project Geekology. Please follow us there. Turn on notifications if you want to get notified about upcoming content that we're going to be pushing out and new content in general.
Right.
So
and we're available on essentially every major platform and several smaller ones. If you feel the need to put a rating, put out a nice, fat juicy 5-star, and we like to read out our ratings on the show, and we appreciate them, and it really does drive us forward, and we enjoy making this content for you all.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you tune into our next episode. Subscribe for more. Peace out, guys.
Peace.